Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. Today we are going to do a Kickstarter preview of Flawed. This is a deck building game like you've never seen really in this format. This is like Magic the Gathering meets Mystic Vale.
Yeah.
So I have to just real quick tell the story of how I discovered it. I was at Origins. I was talking to Sean Fletcher from the op. And we're kind of just like, oh, what's some cool stuff you've seen? And he's like, I've got to take you over to this booth. He takes me over to this booth. Their whole like backdrop is this awesome full art like of the characters that are from this game.
Mm-hmm.
They hired comic book artists to do
Nice.
all of the art, and you can tell because all the cards feel very dynamic. We'll get into that in a minute. So anyways, yes, he gave me the basic description. I learned the game from one of the designers, co-designers, and was like, wow, this is really cool. I'd like to cover this. So they handed us a couple of the intro decks.
Yep.
So it's like a 27 card deck. And now the trick with this is you do need to sleeve them because you've got your card and then you've got your overlay card.
Hence the Mystic Vale reference.
Right. And that is how it allows you to customize your deck uniquely to your own experience. So they're going to have like booster packs and different starter packs and things like that, all available on the Kickstarter. We're not going to go into all of that. Bob and I have been playing Magic for a long time. Bob's been playing Magic hot and heavy for even longer and is even deeper into it. So, Bobby, what do you think of Flawed?
I think it's super interesting. Like the ability that you can take like a normal standard card and it's got like a cost over here and it's got like one element that it's related to, but then you have basically these like elemental overlays that you can mix and match amongst the different things that you have to like make them more powerful, change the cost on it. Plus it's dual purpose, right? So you're not playing like separate like land cards or
your cards are either a resource or it's a spell.
So you're choosing which one do you want to use it for. But then you have cool combos in there too where it's like, oh, when I play this card, I get to take one of my cards I put down and put it back in my hand and I can use it for the other ability. So it's like a super neat like way to use some resources at the beginning and then I don't need that resource anymore. I would rather play that for its ability, pick that card back up and then use it for that. Like that was really interesting.
And be warned, Magic players, I would just tell you, because on your turn, basically you can do like each action like one time, right? So you can play one resource. And you can't play another resource, which is really difficult for Magic player because every turn you just want to throw another land down, right?
Or you want to like untap your cards or draw a card. No. It doesn't quite work that way.
Not yet.
Yeah, because you just kind of take turns taking actions back and forth.
And when I was learning it, she kept going, not yet. Not yet. But it's fine because it's different. It sets it apart.
Right.
And also what I like about that aspect of it, right, where you're just attacking with the one card and the way that you can attack, because you can only attack cards that are exhausted, is that the timing is so important of when you do this and when you do that.
Right.
And so it also like allows you to sort of stagger your turn a little bit. Like, well, maybe I can do something like if I wait to play that resource, if I attack first and then then something else happens and then I play that resource. Well, now I've like drawn my turn out just a little bit more. Right. So then maybe you will do something so that then it will leave an opening.
Trying to lure them out a little bit. Yeah.
And go on.
No, I was going to say it's like it's super interesting on how you could, try to make them take an action. Like I have a react card in my hand. I don't want to pass yet, so I'm going to slow roll my turn a little bit to try to lure out your resources a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it is something that you can do in Magic, but this is different. And I feel like even more in this, like the timing and the when you do X or Y really matters and can make or break your game.
Right. And speaking of the timing, they have speed, like a speed attribute too. So that's going to matter. So like once you the turns are winding down, the first person to kind of pass is going to prepare, and they'll get to draw an extra card, and they basically wait then for the other person to run out of actions, and then like they both will untap and then draw for their turn. But like it's just super interesting, like how that all works, and then with the timing, like, oh, how much speed do you have out? Okay, now you're first player this round,
right?
And then like, oh, they're attacking each other. Well, I have a higher speed, so I'm gonna deal my damage first. Then if you survive, you'll hit me almost like a first strikey, but like it all changes up, and then you can change all that with the overlays. Like, man, I really like this character, but he's always dying because he's so slow. Not so slow anymore,
right?
Right?
Yeah. There, we when we played. We just did the suggested deck list,
right?
Because this is just
we're trying to learn.
Yeah, it's a 27 card deck. I believe the normal deck size is going to be like 50 cards.
Okay, cool. Wow, man, all those possibilities.
Yeah, and again, it blows my mind that it's like there's no. This sounds weird to say, but like you're not like, oh, I need to save like 20 spots in my deck for mana. Like
right,
no,
every card
is potentially mana,
a resource,
a resource that you can use. And, And so you just play it down so that resource is playing face up. And I just was really impressed with that. And this was designed by a former Magic Pro Tour player, like not just like us, not just like me, where it's like I play Magic. Like no, like somebody like really legit.
Sure.
And again, right, the different combos. There are some restrictions. We're not going to go into all of them as to like how much.
You can't put any old overlay on top of any old card,
right?
Because otherwise it could lead to breakage.
Well, it would. And another really interesting thing is the way the shrines work. So the shrine determines your starting health, and also gives you sort of like a passive power ability that you start with, throughout the whole game. And then you're just hitting each other's shrines until somebody dies.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. I got down to 1 health on my shrine before I had even hit the person person teaching me shrine. But then I got my big guy out and I was able to start healing. And then they weren't able to attack me like they were because I started to get guys out.
Yeah.
Right. So then it was like, it really then allowed me to then just start hitting really hard, and a couple well-timed counter spells. And then next thing I know, I'm playing. I'm in the game. You know.
I believe the word you're working for was absorb magic.
I believe that is the word I was looking for. But this is on Kickstarter right now. There's a bunch of different pledge levels, just depending on what you're trying to get into. As of filming, this is like 93% funded.
Okay.
And it's still got a couple weeks.
Okay.
So it's should fund because this is really cool. The art is fantastic.
Yeah. I was looking at the art. I was really appreciating that. I was like, oh, these are actually really cool.
Yeah, the art is really good. I also they have their mulligan mechanic.
Oh yeah.
So you've got this card that says keep. So at the beginning of the game, you're going to draw 6 cards, and then you're going to take this card that says keep, and you're going to put it somewhere in your hand. And basically every card to the left of it, you're discarding at the beginning of the game. And then that is going to allow you to redraw some new cards, right? Because you can draw back up to 6 when you're done. But more importantly, the cards you discard, you're going to add up all those speed values, and that's your initiative to go first.
Yeah.
Which is also really cool.
Right.
Because then, maybe I only want to get rid of 1 card, and
I have a really good hand, but do I want to go second or do I want to go first and get rid of that extra card? Yeah.
Right. So again, just a really interesting dynamic. Like little things that make it stand out, right, from other games like this. And again, the overlays. I could imagine just sitting there and like the deck construction aspect of this.
Yeah.
Because that's
customizable.
That's one of the fun things about playing a game like Magic is the deck construction. I'm going to put all this together. And here's the other thing is you and I could play a mirror deck, but like where we have put the overlays and everything
completely different
changes the whole strat.
I'd be curious to see like what kind of rules there are going to be for the whole construction as far as like, can you have so many of a certain kind or so many of a certain overlay?
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't read those parts of the rules
there are definitely those rules in there. But again, those sort of like combinations and the way that you can mix and match. Yeah. I mean, it is just
even Dan. Like we were playing earlier, and I was like, I'm gonna play this card. That lets me untap these, and that lets me put a counter on this, roll this back, and pick this card up. He's like,
"What happened? What happened?"
Yeah.
That worked really well. The combos are awesome. The art is great. This is while being familiar feels really unique.
Right.
I mean, that's
remember you don't get to draw every time.
Right.
That's the hardest part of that rewire, and like, nope.
Right. And just one resource.
Yep.
And then you got to wait.
Yep.
The good thing is it's limiting for everybody.
Right.
So it's not just like, I don't.
Somebody's going to run away with it because they're putting out more than you. It's like that. No, you're both playing by the same rules. Hopefully.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, there might be combos though, right, where you could play an extra resource,
pick 2 cards up, put an extra one down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That never happened.
Nope.
But anything else you want to highlight on this before we?
No, I think we hit pretty much everything. They do have like some like dual layer, like not dual layer, but like dual.
We were calling them dual lands. Yeah, dual resource.
Yeah.
So it works for either or, and again, a very powerful essence. So you.
Right. It's like, man, do I get rid of that really powerful card, or this lets me do a blue or a black, or a green or a black?
Right.
Yeah. It's
right. And
interesting decisions.
Really good decision.
Yeah, which was funny because I played that down as a resource at the beginning of the game, and that was a card that I picked up that won me the game later on.
I did the same thing when I played, and it was like, because then as I was getting familiar with the game, I'm like, I kind of need that card.
Yeah, I want that back.
I kind of need it. And so then, was able to play something, allow me to scoop it up, and then use it in the other way.
Right.
And again, just very unique. I love multi-purpose cards in a game.
Same.
Again, just the customizable combinations. And again, we just have the two 27
intro decks.
Intro decks, 27 cards. But there's all kinds of different things you can do. I believe I have different essences for the bases that we could have like alternatively tried.
Yeah.
So even with these decks, these very small limited ones,
there's
like,
options.
There's a lot of options, a lot of ways you can play and stuff. But yeah, this was just really cool. It's got great art. We said that already, but I mean that brings you in.
Right.
Magic the Gathering card games should have good art. If you're gonna have to sit there and look at your cards the whole time, right? They should look good.
And that is usually one of the highlights in Magic. I'm like, oh, this is really good art, and this follows suit.
Yeah. So, anyways, this is Flawed. It's on Kickstarter right now. I strongly recommend, if any of this sounds appealing, to go check it out, because this is really good and just kind of came out of nowhere for me. So I was really glad that I found them at Origins, or was shown them at Origins.
The opportunity arose.
Yes, it did. Okay, guys. So that's gonna be it. But check them out on the Kickstarter. Tell them Board Game Rundown sent you. And speaking of Board Game Rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
I'll see you next time.